Well, to tell us more about all this, we're joined by political reporter Bill Bowkett. Good morning, Bill.
Very good morning.
Hi. It's astonishing. As I said, Prince Charles may have meant those, and they were indeed private comments to people that he was talking to privately, all over the front pages this morning. I wonder what Priti Patel is going to think of that.
She's probably not going to be too pleased, if I'm honest. I mean, it's not, it's not uncommon for royals to have, political views.
It's certainly not uncommon for him to.
Exactly. He's a key environment, and I think you remember, I think he was accused of trying to lobby for more grammar schools when Tony Blair was Prime Minister as well. So this is not uncommon. The problem is that it comes from, our future king, our future head of state, who is supposed to be politically neutral. He's supposed to be, beyond politics. And only his role, at least in our constitutional democracy, is to ascend law and have, weekly minutes with the Prime Minister. So really, having these comments on the front page, given the ruling that we had yesterday in the High Court, is not going to go down well at all in the Home Office.
In terms of that ruling yesterday, the plane should be heading out on Tuesday, as we understand it. This group has said they're going to appeal the decision. How do you appeal it if they've already flown out?
So the ruling that was done in the Royal Courts of Justice yesterday said that the scheme itself doesn't break law, and it should be down to the individual cases because, asylum seekers, deportations are wide varied. Some might be families, some themselves might be people smugglers, might be involved in organised crime. So what's going to happen now is that these campaign groups are probably going to now fight once again an appeal, but on an individual level, to hope that these people won't be sent to Rwanda next week.
Well, I mean, we're told, aren't we, that it's going to be on Tuesday, the flight to Rwanda. And at the moment, there's nothing to stop it going ahead, unless they can do an appeal awfully quickly. And, appeals don't happen that
And actually, a lot of the time, with cases like these, activists can get involved as well, and they will actually blockade the airports themselves from stopping these migrants.
Well, a lot of people might laugh and say, well, they won't, the airports are in such chaos anyway, they'll be lucky to get a plane on the ground.
Exactly.
But, as Stephen said, surely we could be facing an appalling situation where we've flown them out there only to have to bring them back if the appeal is successful.
I know. It's not going to be great. And the thing is, this is just the initial trial. This is the £120 million trial that Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, had outlined months before. And hopefully this will spawn a wider partnership with the Rwandan government to, send asylum seekers trying to get into Britain, into the Central African countries. So if we're already having obstacles before that first flight is even left, I can't imagine what's going to happen if it is expanded further.
But this is a win-win for the Prime Minister and the government, isn't it, in the sense that he knows this is a policy that the vast majority, or certainly a majority of people in the UK are behind.
And especially Tory voters as well. Tory voters and also Brexiteers as well, people in those red wall seats, very socially conservative, wanting the issue of immigration to be settled. And while, it's not nice for a system for this to be in place, it is necessary given the influx of immigration that's been happening in this country over the last several decades, the consistent promises by, Conservative governments, Conservative Prime Ministers, David Cameron, Theresa May, to cut back on immigration. So if this is the step that is needed to solve this problem, to stop illegal people smuggling and to solve the wider issue of illegal immigration in this country, then so be it.
Interesting as well. I mean, Boris Johnson's got so many subjects on his plate at the moment, hasn't he? But the latest being, of course, the plight of the two British-born Ukrainian soldiers who are now under the threat of a death penalty. And Boris Johnson is urging his ministers to do everything they can to solve that problem. How can they? I mean, what on earth can they do?
Well, the thing is that the president has now been set with Nazim Zaghari Ratcliffe in that this worrying precedent where now nation states are able to basically hold prisoners of war, they're known. The Russian government claim they're mercenaries, these two individuals. They're not. They're prisoners of war. They've been fighting alongside Ukraine and allegedly have been living there for several years. And one of them actually has a Ukrainian wife as well. But now the question is going to be raised as to what the solution can be. Clearly, diplomacy is not the answer.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, in terms of, say, you compare it to what happened with Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, but, I mean, clearly we don't like Iran as a nation-state, but they are nevertheless a nation-state. This is dealing with, it might in effect be Moscow, but it is the People's Republic of Donetsk.
Yes, exactly.
So which doesn't have any legitimacy anyway.
Yes, it is the separatist nation, and obviously the Russian government claiming it's an independent nation state as well. Backed by Russian forces as well. So that is really going to be the sticking point. And I know that Ben Wallace has been involved in this issue a lot, and I know Liz Truss has been travelling to Europe to speak to fellow foreign ministers and leaders and policymakers in neighbouring countries as to what the solution could be.
It's huge. It's
Who'd be
hugely
Prime Minister
difficult.
at the moment? I know
Multiple
so many
fronts.
people want to be Prime Minister at the moment. It absolutely
He
boggles
wanted
the
to be his
mind, doesn't
entire
it?
life.
Yeah.
Sole ambition.
On that front, actually, while we've got you, do you think things are, well, it's very busy for the Prime Minister in terms of the political, personal jeopardy that he's in? Is that dying down a little bit now? Is he getting on with it?
So he survived the no confidence vote, which was the best opportunity that Tory MPs actually had to get rid of him as leader.
And Graham Brady's made it clear he doesn't want to introduce
And he doesn't want to. I mean, I've seen in the front page at the Eye this morning about how maybe there might be an annual general meeting of local chairs of Tory associations to maybe get rid of them. But we know that Boris is going to be in office for a long time. Yes, there are going to be different challenges across the way politically. You've got these two really vital by-elections, which they're predicted to lose. You've still got the Privileges Committee investigation, and there still is the possibility of a snap general election. But for the meantime, once again, as Boris does Teflon himself, he survives for another day.
Meanwhile, they're sort of having a little go at each other over on the Labour Party side, because Angela Rayner has been a little bit outspoken about Keir Starmer's lacklustre approach to Prime Minister's questions on Wednesday. She said that his training as a lawyer means that he doesn't come over with the emotion that's needed.
No, and I remember watching that Prime Minister's questions, and it just completely killed the mood by having to then focus on Nadine Dorris's tweet. About the state of the health service, and inadvertently saying how the Tory party was ill prepared for the pandemic in response to Jeremy Hunt. But yeah, I mean, his strategies of PMQs has been berated, multiple times. But PMQs, it's theatrical. It doesn't necessarily.
Well, I tuned in to see fireworks, and there were no fireworks.
No, and he should have at that moment. And the thing you've also got to consider is that actually the talent that is starting to emerge on that Labour front bench who could really be a successor to Keir Starmer. Wes Streeting was very impressive on Question Time the other day. Lisa Nandy in response to the housing announcement done by Boris Johnson, the Right to Buy scheme. Angela Rayner, of course, has made her intentions clear that she wants to run for leader.
Well, except there could be this, if either of them are charged with or given a fixed penalty notice,
stand down.
for this, which could happen, still could happen, then they're both out, aren't they?
Yeah, they have. And it's a solid promise. And Keir Starmer has also stated that he wouldn't rerun for the leadership if that were to happen. But we're still waiting to see.
We are.
On that Durham Constabulary probe.
Yeah, we shall see. Bill, thank you very much indeed. I know we're going to see you next hour as well, so we'll see you then.
Yeah, a lot going on.